Hello, everyone. I am back with another reading from the Parents Tao Te Ching. I just realized today that it's been a while since I've done one of these, and that's okay because I read it when I can. So I thought today I have a little bit of space in my calendar. I will read when I'm both on YouTube and IG. So hopefully you can catch me here either way, and all of the past readings on either of those two platforms. Okay. As you know, I normally read both the original Tao Te Ching and then William Martin's interpretation for the from it for the advice for parents. And then, of course, I'll read his insight and then share mine as well. So let's begin. Tao Te Ching, chapter or poem 17. So from the original. The best leaders are the ones that people barely know exist. The next best is a leader who is loved and praised. Next comes the one that is feared. The worst is the despised leader. If you don't trust people, they will become unreliable. The best leaders value their words and use them sparingly. When they have accomplished their tasks, people say, "Amazing, we did it all by ourselves." In the realm of parenting, this is such an interesting it's such an interesting concept because we are the leaders. And I'll read William Martin's interpretation, but I have so much to say about this because this is such a great topic. He has titled it "No Need for Threats." How fitting is this, because we're in the month of December and Christmas is upon us. It's actually December 2nd. Many parents have already brought up the elves. We have not yet. A whole thing about that, but it's interesting that this is so fitting, very aligned. So again, chapter 17 or poem 17, No Need for Threats. You can control your children through threats and punishments, and they will learn to fear. You can control their behavior by praise and reward, and they will learn to look outside themselves for approval and worth. You can watch over their every movement, every action, every decision, making sure they do it, quote unquote, right. And they will always learn to doubt themselves. Or you can love and guide without controlling or interfering, and they will learn to trust themselves. This is so good. Okay, because and it's tough. It's tough as a parent because remember, you're not just a parent, you're a substitute frontal lobe. So you are still being that part of your child's brain that is helping them organize and helping them understand time and prioritize and plan. All of these executive functioning skills you're still doing as the parent. And at the same time, you want to be able to allow your child to find their way as well. So it's always this little dance between giving them enough rope, for lack of better words, and being that substitute part of their brain, okay, the frontal lobe. So when this last paragraph, you can love and guide without controlling or interfering, and they will learn to trust themselves. This is such a beautiful theory, of course, and something that I do guide my clients to do. And there's a time and place when rewards can be helpful. When you are helping to watch over and ensuring that they are doing the best that they can. And of course, if you know me and you've worked with me, you know that threats and punishments are so far down the list of tools that I use, and often not. But there is a time and place for these things because you are still part of their development and part of their brain. So there is a time and place for parenting from a more extrinsic way, with even if it is a reward or a bribe, or, just really being there and helping them. Homework comes to mind for a lot of my clients. But there is an end goal that we want to be able to love and guide without controlling or interfering, because we want our kids to be able to learn to trust themselves. And that's not always an easy thing to do. And that's where I help parents, because this is very nuanced to be able to do that and not lose your mind and your marbles. And it's very developmentally, it changes depending on your child's age and their personality and their temperament, and if they're a gladiator kid or not, or if if they're anxious. There's different levels to this, and this is why parenting is so nuanced. So let's read William Martin's interpretation, and again, if there's any other thoughts, I'll share them. If your child fails at something, merely express your confidence in their ability to handle the consequences. If they behave irresponsibly, merely point out the consequences to themselves and others. And again, express your trust that they will learn. As soon as possible, give them another opportunity to be appropriately responsible. Do not slip into the downward spiral of blame, shame, and control. It does not work. So that's finishing there. I'm going to add, it might work in the short term, but as I say to everyone, all my parents, being a parent is a long-term game. Okay, once you're a parent, you're always a parent. So most people want to help raise great kids who become very capable human beings and adults in the world. And that is only possible if you start to plant these seeds of trust, of giving them the rope to, sink or swim at times, and allowing those natural consequences to come to the surface. And that's what really he's talking about, the natural consequence. So if you fail at something, then there's going to be a natural consequence to that. If the child is behaving irresponsibly, there's going to be a natural consequence. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. If one of my girls, if she's super late on something, that's the very natural consequence is that she, like, for example, she won't be able to show up for her team, or she won't be able to show up for a friend who's waiting for her. And eventually the team or the friend may not wait for her or be able to count on her. So really being able to help them see, like, connect the dots. So this is where being the frontal lobe for our kids is imperative, because this is where we can help them connect the dots in retrospect and in forward thinking, but without the shame, blame, and control. And that's a hard thing to do for a lot of parents, me included at times, because sometimes we just want the best for our child. We want them to be able to be on time. We want them to learn to how to, be your word. I get it. And especially depending on the age of your child, there's lots of room to be able to learn those concepts, for them to naturally learn them, naturally feel the natural consequences of them. And you being there to neutrally, so hard to do at times, neutrally be supportive, show them the connection of the dots, like the cause and effect of their actions, with lots of love, and then giving them messages of confidence and competence, meaning that, and this is a connected parenting term, that we know and we can see our child being responsible, even though it's hard at times. We can see them being responsible. We can see that they do there's evidence in some of the things that they've done, that they are on time at times, and they can be responsible at times, and relaying that to our child, because our child and us and everyone's brains naturally go to, okay, from an evolutionary perspective, they naturally goes to what doesn't work, what's wrong. And we are easy to point out the faults, the mistakes, the repetitiveness that happens, and the frustration that happens, which again, I get as a parent, it's very, can be very regular, especially if you have a gladiator type kid. But what I want you to walk away with is that it is our job to be the champion of our child. And that can be a very tough thing to do. I get it. But do your best to be the champion and advocate for your child's better self or higher self to show up. And that's how we do it, through messages of confidence and competence. I hope that was helpful. I will see you next time. Have a great